Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another Historical Humans Reacts. And on today's episode, we have an entire Mayan city of Ucanal, and its inhabitants were contaminated with mercury. The
Why is it
toxic.
always Mercury?
What?
Why is it always Mercury?
Well, because they didn't quite have asbestos yet.
Uh,
They
this
needed
is like
Also,
the
the
something.
asbestos.
Yeah, they needed
also,
something to poison the citizens with.
also, who doesn't love Queen?
Oh.
I do love weed.
Anyway, yes, this entire Mayan city of Ucanal, which is one of the major Mayan cities, appears to be completely poisoned by mercury. It's it's in the water reservoirs, it's in the canals, it's in the soil under the buildings. It's
Yeah.
everywhere.
This
And
was just like their very own version of lead. Like Romans had lead pipes. These guys just had mercury contaminated water pipes too.
well, they imported the mercury because it's not native to the region they're from. So they had to have gotten it from some far off trade network, and they used it for a lot of funerary and ceremonial purposes. And they
Okay,
used it in such high volume that everything is contaminated from the city to the water reservoir to the ground.
Yeah, the pigment known as cinnabar, which is mercury sulfide, was associated with high value luxury goods. It was a status symbol. So you can imagine fancy house, mercury wallpaper,
So what you're
fancy car,
saying
mercury.
is we need to bring back giving yourself mercury poison to the ultra wealthy.
Listen, Napoleon's bed sheets were radioactive. Okay.
Yeah, he had a lot of arsenic in his system from that too.
Yeah.
so I kind of wish
Humanity will
the
do things.
I kind of wish the article would have mentioned like where the nearest cinnabar deposit was because like in reference to the city because I feel like that would have been cool information.
I bet you the actual article does.
I didn't see it. I must have looked over it.
Did you go to the actual article at the bottom?
There's oh yeah, the JSTOR argument right
Yeah,
down
the
there.
JSTOR.
Oh, I didn't go
Yeah,
to
yeah,
that
no.
one now.
Don't worry about that, viewers. That's just that we're just discussing the public information versus the very academic version of that same information that will include detailed charts of every centimeter this team has gone over. Oh my god. But yeah, the information is in this article, just the public one is incredibly detailed because it really does talk about what's the word? Not just the interconnectivity for the trade for the mercury, but also just the need for it here, the concentration of it,
Yeah,
because it's not just in all these water systems and in all the soil. It's in all the soil and water at about 16.9 micrograms per gram, which fun fact, 1.7 micrograms per gram is the threshold for toxicity. So
and
it is at 10 times the toxic level.
and this poses a
Oh,
completely different argument and conversation altogether. But something that's important is like the archaeologists who are excavating this have to be very hyper acute of the amount of mercury content that they're actually encountering. Like you have to be very careful of toxins on the work site. I mean, I know in the past we've previously talked about a site in Miami that had asbestos and other carcinogenic materials, but like this is an actual real concern and something we have to be hyper vigilant of. So the fact that they're aware of how toxic the soils are, it's definitely a good idea to monitor that while they're excavating. And I mean, I do want to go back to the first image real quick. This is archaeology porn. This is beautiful. These units are gorgeous. They're in the nice grid system. You could see how squared off those walls are, how flat the floors are. Like, that is
Yeah.
beautiful work. You love to see that.
And, the archaeologists all on this site would, just going back to the safety standards thing, they would all be made aware and be on the lookout for symptoms of mercury poisoning, tremors, mood swings, a compulsion to make 18th century hats for a girl in Dallas.
Hey, I thought the hat making hobby was just a trait of archaeologists. Every archaeologist has their own Indiana Jones hat. That is a factual statement.
Now we know why. It's all the people at Ucanal making them.
Oh no! Don't let Big Hat get a whiff of that.
No.
Yeah, this is.
But that's kind of cool, and this shows one of the interesting ways in which modern technology can help us start discovering and learning more about these sites, because we're able to do chemical analysis and we're able to do tests that we weren't ever able to do before, and that can tell us about the trade networks, that could tell us about the funerary importance of the materials, things that would traditionally be lost in the archaeological record, because a lot of what we encounter on a day-to-day as archaeologists is the leftovers, the garbage, the refuse. People took with them the important things, or a lot of times they didn't make it that far. So we're trying to put this picture together, and the fact that there's so much mercury, you can tell just how much of a status symbol that was. Like Colin said, walls lined with it, painting that everywhere, dressing yourself in the color.
Yeah, it just also speaks to the size and wealth of Ucanal.
Oh my God.
It's not only is this again a major mine city, but this poisoning is found in high concentrations in lower and middle class areas, what we would define as that today. It's found in the poorer neighborhoods as well as the richer ones. This is something like Tyrian purple would only be found in rich neighborhoods in Europe because it was that expensive. But the fact that this is everywhere tells us it's not just a status symbol, but that this city is prosperous enough that the mercury gets to all corners of the city.
It poses a very interesting thought process and conundrum, something that I think in the modern day we're more hyper aware of, just because a lot of materials that were used in the past were very carcinogenic. But it really poses a question of like what cities had been impacted by things like this, what had been what could have been the cause of it. I mean, to see an entire city with that level of toxicity, you would think quite a few people suffered from acute mercury poisoning. And I mean, what other environmental factors could lead to health and safety issues within the city, I guarantee they didn't have a health inspector going around measuring mercury content.
And the thing with mercury poisoning is it's not a type of poisoning where you get weaker and weaker as it goes on. It's the type of poisoning where you become more and more dangerous to the people around you the more it goes on, because it is irrationality, it is mood swings, it is tremors, it is insomnia. So you are a sleep deprived, angry person who has no idea where they are.
That could be a great soldier, though.
We don't need the berserkers.
Well, on that note, thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed it, let us know down below, and let us know what you think, and we'll see y'all in the next episode. Peace.